Hello and welcome to another episode of My Stylish Life, South Africa's only interior design podcast designed to help you live your most stylish life. Today's episode, what are we chatting about today, Bridget?
So today we're going to talk about art, how to choose art for your home, how to hang art, and just kind of debunk, I think, some myths that people have about owning art. We've got some special guests, which is always lovely to have.
Absolutely.
And
So
we're filming in a beautiful location as
yes, that's what I wanted to tell you guys about. Today we are coming to you from the Anne Bryant Art Gallery, and our first guest for this episode is Leon Dupree. He is the curator for the Anne Bryant Art Gallery. Leon, thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's such a pleasure.
Yeah, it's lovely to have you.
Thank you.
First question I want to kick off with is, as a curator, how do you select art pieces for display and exhibition in a gallery? What's your process?
Okay, look, we kind of a public museum, like art museum. So there are two ways you can. We have exhibitions. We have a solo exhibition where you have kind of a professional artist, and they will display. It all depends on the space, the wall space. You're putting it, how it fits in that wall space is important. And also, it can be a bit of the character of the painting. The colors do influence how it looks, how you want to display it. But and also how you put something next to it, whether it's another painting or a ceramic piece, how they talk to each other. So that's very important. You get So we also, this exhibition we've had at the moment is a kind of a community exhibition. So we had a variety of works, but it's quite fun. You can play off pieces, so you can have really maybe a different style, but they can work together, and one can actually show the other one off.
I think that's what's really great. I think also as a person coming to a gallery as even a first-time visitor, is that, if you had a preconceived idea about coming to a gallery and everything has to be like aesthetically curated or matching, like the fact that you have pieces like a landscape next to a portrait, or different styles, it can show you that you can mix and match and do that in your own home, and it all really works beautifully together. So I think that is a very positive thing that is being showcased.
Absolutely. And in terms of the criteria for art to be able to be hung on these amazing walls, is there something that you look for in art pieces before you decide, this can hang in our art museum?
Okay, if we're selecting an artwork, we're going more, as a public gallery, we choose, but we're not really strict. But we have a permanent collection. So we focus more on local artists, but we have a permanent collection. And we have South African masters from the 1920s.
Amazing.
So, you have like Strauss and Company, the main auction house. They sell those really investment pieces. So if you want to look for an investment piece, you will pay more, but it always goes up in value. So it's quite good, if you're going in that direction.
Yes, it appreciates.
Yeah. But there's also, if you're just collecting, there was American couple that years ago in the 60s bought work, but they'd only buy for a certain amount, and they just randomly bought what they really enjoyed. And today that collection's worth a huge amount of money. So you never know what can actually reach, so there are ways, but obviously if you want to be more sure, is to go to auction houses, and the name comes along.
How would you advise homeowners who want to start, putting pieces of art in their home? Like, where do you begin, and yeah, what advice would you give if somebody wants to
I'd
start?
advise they go speak to a gallery, go to any gallery and chat to them, and they'll have a lot of information. But I can say, if somebody chooses an original artwork, it says something about them. It gives you that edge, that you're not just going to kind of anywhere and just, it gives a bit of style, and it says something
And
about
there's a story to
Yeah.
that art, I would say.
Yeah, because you're buying a one of a kind, even if it is a print edition of it is still one of 10 or exactly. Yeah, that's really great advice.
That leads me to my next question around mass production. So obviously, homeware retailers will produce art pieces for people in their homes, and I think for a lot of whether it's new homeowners or people starting out or just people wanting to fill the walls in their spaces, it might seem like an easy in, right, to go to a retailer and buy a piece of art. What do you think about galleries competing? Do you feel like there's a challenge that you're up against there when it comes to the art that's being sold in retailers versus art that you can buy in a gallery? And what is the unique selling point about buying at a gallery versus a retailer?
I think, retailers, any art, you also got these, the Chinese have mass-produced, they paint original paintings, but they mass-produce, they kind of an industry where one artist does the sky and other land, they produce them. And when you mass-produce, the value of an artwork is how rare it is. The more rare something is, the more valuable it is. So mass production is not a good, it's not a good way to go. I have people come to evaluate works they've bought, and really I can tell them the frame would be maybe something they could get, but it really, it's not a good idea. Unless, if you buy a graphic piece like a print, like you said, it's 1 of 50, then there are only 50 of those. So that gives it a value.
Yes, it makes it more valuable. Yeah, it's special.
What are the various ways that you could suggest to a buyer they display something that they bought?
Look, it depends on the home. You have kind of minimalist, as people at the coast have a minimalist, the windows, big windows, not a lot of space. There I would say sculptures or ceramics would fit in better. But there are all kinds of styles. I saw a house, Makanda, Grahamstown. They have a specific, like a kind of a frontier style. And I saw a couple in Joburg, they bought a house and they loved that style. It's kind of like a bohemian style. It's quite interesting. So there are many ways, to decorate. And,
I would also just like to weigh on this, because from an interior design perspective, that's exactly what I would say. I think people think there are rules, but there aren't actually rules. There are so many ways in which you can display art in your home. And like you said, art comes in a variety of mediums, whether sculptures, ceramics, photography, canvases, and then framed works. But even the way you hang framed works, there are no rules. You can do a gallery wall. That's almost like behind us here, where you have a variety of pieces, different mediums. They don't all have to be canvases. They don't all have to be framed. You know what I mean? You can do different mixes, different sizes, exactly, and you create a whole wall. Or you could have one striking piece framed simply on the wall. I do think that sometimes you do need to look at the heights when installing the art. Like if you're going to do a standalone piece, like if you're doing a gallery wall, that's no problem, because you're doing like a collage, let's say, of different elements. But if you're going to do a standalone piece, or perhaps like one above the other, then you do need to look at how you're going to position that. Like you wouldn't want to put the art too high, because sometimes, like if I walk into a home, sometimes the art is at the wrong height, the wrong level, you know what I mean? And you can pick it up. Yes, so you do, if you're going to be doing a piece and making it a focal, you just do need to look at roundabouts and eye level heights. But other than that, there are no rules, and I think that should make a person feel more comfortable. Like it's not so scary.
Art, as they
You
say,
love
is
it, you
subjective,
showcase it.
right?
Well, it is. I think exactly. And if you love it, we all not going to love the same type of art. I think that's also what makes it so exciting and interesting. The kind of thing that you're drawn to, what I'm drawn to are going to be completely different things, and it is about what you're drawn to.
Yeah. What's your favorite type of art on that topic?
I love charcoal drawing. I've always been passionate with pastels and charcoal, and Kentridge is.
I love his work.
Some people don't.
I'm obsessed. I went to one of his at the Zeitz in Cape Town a couple of years ago. He had an exhibition there, and it was incredible.
Wow. Okay, so charcoal. And talk a little bit about maintenance or upkeep, or how you look after a piece once you have it at home. Galleries, obviously, big rules around don't touch, and how talk a bit about that in terms of skin and how that can deteriorate a piece and how you can maintain your piece once it's home.
Okay. Look, frame work with glass is quite difficult. I would say now and then possibly you'd have to take it to a frame and just get them to clean it and take it out the frame and reframe it. That will happen.
Because dust will get in between the glass and the art.
Rather take it to a framer because it's difficult to take it out and put it back, and specialize. And then also paintings, they're fine. You can just dust a painting with a duster is fine. It's got especially oil painting. But you can clean a painting. It's tricky. What you use is white spirits and a cotton bud. And what you do is roll it on the painting, a bit of white spirits, just on a cotton, and you roll it, and it'll pick up the dust. You can actually YouTube. You'll find how to clean a painting.
Instructions there.
You can do that, but that'll be after a long time. Where dirt builds up. That's cleaning like paper with watercolor and so on. Also specialized. There are times you get foxing. That's acid. Also careful when you buy artwork, see this acid-free paper, because what happens, the acid foxes the paper, it gets kind of marks on it. They can restore it, but it is a specialized art. You have to take it to a restorer to get it.
Interesting.
So if in doubt, YouTube it.
Yeah.
Or take it to
YouTube can
a
help.
specialist.
Someone to know something.
Fantastic. Then, in terms of the Bryan Art Gallery for the year, what are some of the things that are taking place this year that people can look forward to, or are there projects that are coming up? What do you want the public to know about?
Yes, there's Greg Schultz. He's a local artist. He does wonderful work. He's exhibiting here in July. Around the 24th, he'll be up for a month.
Nice.
But I know it's going to be a winner, and people will enjoy that. We've also got the quilting ladies are going to exhibit in September. So there are quite a few, and we've got the annual exhibition, which is kind of open to all the community. So there's a lot to look forward to.
It's so great, and I think it's a great thing for people to support galleries within the places they live, because there always are exhibitions happening and throughout the year. So it's good to keep popping in and supporting. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Leon, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Leon.
Thank
so
you.
Insightful chatting to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We'd love to welcome Nicole Sati. Nicole is an artist. She goes by Skinny G. You can find her on Instagram. And she's also just a great advocate for all things art and creativity. So welcome, Nix.
Thanks, Bridge. Hi, Lynn. How's it? Thanks for having me.
Nice to have you.
Yeah, great.
Thanks for being here. So I'd love to know, if you've never bought art before, what advice would you give to somebody out there?
Okay, so I'm on a mission at the moment, and I'm coming from having a fine art background. So I have been a practicing artist, and now I'm able to buy art, which is really an honor and a privilege, and I'm quite excited about this. And so when I go into any exhibition, I actually walk in keen to buy. I think that's the first element you have to have. Sometimes you think, no, I'm here to look, or I'm here to buy. And that's a different kind of energy that you bring. And so you start looking at different elements of like, do I enjoy the colors? Do I enjoy the subject matter? Like, does this speak to me? Not like, oh, it's nice. Because if you're looking, you're like, oh, it's nice, or it's not nice. But if you want to buy, then you're like,
It's got to say more than just
do
nice.
I want this in my house? So what's really lucky in the Eastern Cape kind of economic bracket is that I really think art is very affordable here.
I was going to ask that next.
Yeah, so, and that's where I'm like shocked at the prices. And knowing the skill set and the time and energy that goes into every painting, I'm like, this is very affordable. This is a deal. So what I look for to buy is just like, does it speak to me? Is it in my price range? Because I'm not crazy. I'm not going to like go into debt or something. If it's in my price range, does it speak to me? I sleep on it for one night, and then I go the next day and buy it every time. Yeah.
And now Nicole's like, I'm gonna sleep on it, and I'm like, yes, I love
Yeah,
it.
Bridget, yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna take it home.
We're the worst, yeah. We're the worst two to go. I sleep on it for one night. I think about it. Where's it gonna go? What work's gonna work with? And then I pretty much buy it. Yeah. So that's what I look for.
But it's great advice. I think so, Evelyn. It's like again going back to, if you know, it's what speaks to you. There is no right or wrong answer in choosing art. Like, should it match my interior, or does it need to be specific? I think the first question you have to ask is, do you love it?
Yeah.
How does it make you feel? Where can you see it in your home? And that's the first kind of thing we have to.
Yeah, if we could like talk more about that. I think people have tried to make art too serious.
Yeah.
So is it political? Like, will it go up in value? Is it a good buy? And I think you must really think like, do I love it? Do I respond to it? And if so, then you move forward, kind of thing. I think a lot of people could buy a lot of expensive art that they don't actually like at all. And so then they kind of regret it, or they think they had to have it. So yeah, there's a lot of emotion with art.
Absolutely.
Because you live with it forever, and it's sometimes a big price tag if you choose to go that way.
But on the price tag front, I mean, literally you could get pieces for like 250 Rand, right up to your 10s and 20s and 30s, and even more. But I just want to make that point that it's not like every single piece when you come into a gallery is immediately out of your budget or price range. So don't be scared. Don't be scared. Just come and have a look, and you'll be surprised.
And I mean, like, I was walking in Cape Town 2 weeks ago, and I walked across this print. So we were talking about prints and the limited edition thing. And I asked this guy, it was on the side of the road, and I said, how much is it? He said, okay, it's 500 Rand. And I was like, I like this. Okay, it's from someone on the side of the road, so there's like no value and gallery attached to it. But I liked it. Then I Googled him later, and he's exhibiting in a national Cape Town gallery.
No way.
But unfortunately, he was sitting on the side of the road. So like, for me, that's such a bonus.
Yes.
Like, I liked it. The price was correct. Maybe it wasn't in a fancy pants gallery, but like, I'm sitting with this incredible print.
An original art.
Yeah.
And I think speaking of that, that's the thing too. So for instance, we're sitting in an art gallery right now that's having an exhibition where there has been a showcase on affordable art options, which is amazing and fantastic. And a lot of galleries do this in bigger centres where there's, I know in Joburg and Cape Town, they have exhibitions where you're able to do that. And I think it's just, keeping your eye out for that. Or again, social media. I think there's a lot. Also, you don't necessarily, like you say, have to buy your art from a gallery.
Yeah.
There's so much out there of creatives on social media that you're able to directly purchase from chat to.
Yeah, I used to
it's
sell.
Very accessible.
I used to sell all my art on Instagram, and I used to do 3-part installments, which is like crazy. I used to do in thirds, and so artists, I think that discussion is open as well. Really cool.
Amazing.
So I wanted to ask about, and I suppose it goes back to the point you were making about whether or not something moves you and the subjectivity of it all. So there's really no such thing as, is a piece good or is it worth buying? Is there? Because it really just is up to you at the end of the day. What do you say about
There's this amazing word we learned in art school called complicity.
Yeah.
Okay, and so I think an artist becomes famous when people are complicit towards their art style. And so every artist is on that like movement to try and get there. When you're just a local little town artist, maybe only 4 people are complicit and into your art style, and they've agreed. And then you get to a bigger city and more people agree, and then you start making prints and more people agree, and then you become national, and then you become famous. And so there is an exponential want that every artist wants to be loved and adored by everyone. But how do I go back to your question? Like, all art is good, all mark making is great, all creative expression from the inner soul onto a piece of paper or canvas is something. It is wonderful. So let's celebrate that. If you have the financial means, accept and delve into that person's wonderfulness and their expression. And I think that's what art is for me. It's an expression. And yeah, does that answer the question?
It is. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, just listening to things like that, I hope whoever is listening to the podcast or watching it feels that within them the next time they're wanting to purchase something for their home, to put something on the wall, to be like, sure, but to get to own something that someone has put creativity and passion and a part of them into, whether it's molded by their hands or brushstroked or drawn with charcoal. It's really quite an amazing thing, and
it's such an energy transfer amongst humans and society.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah, like time and effort, and then you accept their time and effort, and then you talk about their time and effort. It's just really special. Art is really cool. Very passionate about it.
Fantastic.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much
taking
for
time
coming.
Well, thanks for having us. Nice to be on the show.
Share your passion with us.
Catch her on Instagram. We will leave her handle here so you can go see her beautiful art.
Yeah, thanks so much. Lots of time, lots of passion. Yes, cool. Thanks, ladies.
So, one of the things I want to just talk a little bit more about with you, Bridge, is around framing.
Yeah.
I talked earlier on about, you don't even necessarily need a frame. How do you decide from an interior design perspective how you frame a piece or what, or whether it should be framed at all?
That is the one thing that I think actually is quite important. So like I said, I don't think there are rules when it necessarily comes to curating your art or photographs or whatever it is you're displaying. I think, you can mix and match. It can be a variety of elements. Doesn't all need to be the same. That's actually something else what I want to say. Exactly. You don't need to only collect landscapes. If you love an abstract and a landscape, they can go next to each other. There are no rules with that. But sometimes I do feel that a frame is important. So some art comes with no frame, like maybe a canvas, or maybe it's a mixed media, like 3D element. But some works do need framing. And in my view, from a design aspect, I would say that for me, the simpler the better, to let the art shine. So I personally, if I'm framing art for projects, clients' homes, I like to do very slim frames, and maybe sometimes we do what's called like a shadow frame, where you kind of box it out a little bit. Okay. But I prefer not to make the frame an element. Yes, you know what I mean? Sometimes you get, especially I think like more traditional artwork, they have quite like thick, chunky frames. Personally, I don't really love that. I prefer to rather let the art speak for itself and do like a more low-key, simple frame. So that would kind of just be my 10 cents worth on the subject. But just encouraging people, there's no right or wrong in choosing art, whatever style of home you have. I think the main thing is like everyone has said here, is it must speak to you. And
the other point that we haven't touched on a little bit, and I want you to touch on just quickly, is unusual spaces to hang art in your home, because I think we focus so much on sort of maybe the living areas and whatnot, but talk about having art in your bathroom.
That's what I wanted to say. Your bathroom. I mean,
always outdoors, in your patio.
100%. So like for me, I think like your guest toilets,
Yes.
like the powder room, whatever you want to call it. That is
art in the guest toilet.
Yes, you do, because I mean that's where you're having guests come around. I always say to people, clients, that's where you've got to have some fun.
Something
you know,
as-
yeah, like wallpaper the whole thing in a crazy pattern. Do some wild lighting. Put some arts in there, like, and talking point art. I mean, maybe you want to do something a little bit more risque, and maybe you know you have more serene artwork in the rest of your home because that's what you love and want. But then you saw that one piece that you also really loved, and it's a bit maybe you put it in there. So yeah, I think bathrooms, great. Outdoor areas, I mean, we always say you should treat your outdoor room as an indoor room. So absolutely, yeah.
Think about it, guys.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed this conversation today and learning so much about art. I feel less intimidated after spending a lot of time in this space recently. And I hope you guys are feeling inspired. If you have any questions you'd like to know more about from an art buying and just matching art to your home perspective, please drop us comments in the comments on our YouTube, on our Instagram. You can find us My Stylish Life podcast. We hope you've enjoyed it and you've enjoyed spending time with us as much as we've enjoyed spending time with you. And
Thanks,
bye.
guys.
Until
We'll be
next
back
time.
soon.